Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So how you do one thing is how you do everything, right?
Yep. And it pisses you off.
It does piss me off. But it is a great opportunity to allow yourself to step back. And how I want to apply how you do one thing is how you do everything is really for me. And what's surfacing is I've really had to, I've not had to do anything. I've gotten to surrender a lot of things and let go of a lot of judgments I've had towards myself, and especially the relationships I have with the majority of my family. We've had a rough go at it with a lot of transitionings of deaths, divorce, just big things occurring, and the way some of my family kids being born, the way some of my family members or the relationships, how they've changed, the dynamic and the energy in the family has changed. It's been really hard for me, and I've gotten kind of, I've gotten judgmental. And so not of them, but more of the relationship and how I can't fix it.
Mm.
And in doing the work with my coach, it's been interesting on how hard surrendering has been to let go, but then also self-acceptance and acceptance of others has been, as a type A workaholic perfectionist, accepting in eating all the trashy thoughts you think about yourself and or your loved ones, and taking ownership and acknowledging how you're in control of that relationship or how you're creating that situation. It's like,
You mean
man, I don't want to swallow it.
you mean
I don't.
type A, ex perfectionist, ex workaholic,
Ex workaholic. Yeah. And that's one of the funniest things
non
that I'm working with.
anonymous.
Yeah. One of the biggest things my coach, Vanessa, is always like making fun of me is she's like, you always like judge a judgment with a judgment. And
Judgment.
I was like, oh shit, I do.
You do.
If I get emotional, I'll be like, oh my God, I'm a crybaby. And it's like, no, Alyssa, like just state the reality. I'm being emotional, or I'm emotional. I'm not weak. I'm not a crybaby. I'm not being dramatic. I'm just emotional. So with surrendering, releasing judgment, self-acceptance, does any of that apply to you in your life, or
For sure.
do you have anything to bounce off of that?
Oh, I've definitely been in a state of surrender, and in that surrender, it's been emotional surrender and mental surrender and physical surrender. And in doing all of that, I feel like so much came up for me in the last 2 weeks. I mean, I went into a depression because it was like I was suddenly working through all these things that I'd kind of been suppressing and hadn't surrendered to. My body aches became worse, as if to say, look at me and notice what's happening here. And I just really got honest with myself in a way that I hadn't done recently. I do it.
Because how you do it, one thing is how you do
Do
everything.
everything. Yes. So, and it really opened up a lot of release of judgment within myself. And as I started to release this judgment, same thing, I started releasing the judgment of my family members and the people close to me. And part of that is the fact that we live in a world, at least I know that in my world growing up, it was taught to me that I had to do for others before I could do anything for myself. If I even got to doing anything for myself. And there's a lot to get over with that. A
Well,
lot.
yeah, because of what I'm feeling or kind of what I'm interpreting is that, part of the releasing of judgment is you actually having to go against everything you've known to be true to actually accept and love yourself enough to then even be able to give and receive from others.
Yes, absolutely.
And this is fascinating because one of the things I was talking about is finances. There's three big things I think all human beings in this world want. They want love, they want security, and they want a sense of purpose.
Hmm.
And a lot of us rely on money to be our security, to give us that relief, to be that container in which then we will, if we have this much money, then we'll be able to do this, and this, and have the life we want.
Yep. If and
And exactly, if and when. And as an entrepreneur, like finances, like they like just like you lose track of them and they run away, but then you like make them, and it's like this really big
it's a
emotional
big roller coaster.
taxing roller coaster. And one of the things, again, recovering workaholic, type A perfectionist, you know, anonymous. One of the things she said, I'm not anonymous. Yes, one of the things that she said to me is things like love and money, they feed off a flow of energy. And if you are giving, if you're putting out, and you're not allowing yourself to receive, money and love will not be able to like flow in. Like
Yeah.
love and money go where energy flows. And it's this cycle of like, you can't
Yes.
be giving if you're not receiving. So that's been my biggest thing too, is in my judgments, releasing them, surrendering to them, and then understanding like, actually, if I want my bank account to move up, if I want my love life to move up, if I want my purpose to grow and expand,
Mhm.
I actually have to receive something. I have to like let shit happen, which is actually pretty cool. But applying it to how you do one thing is how you do everything. It's like you have 30 onion layers to peel back
To peel
before you
back.
can apply that principle.
And it's so many beliefs that it's gonna feel counterintuitive, like core beliefs.
Didn't you have like a reading about this somewhere? About like
Yes.
self-acceptance?
I have a reading about being kind and about loving yourself. Yes. I have it here. It's from the Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. You often say, I would give, but only to the deserving. The trees in your orchard say not so, nor the flocks in your pastures. They give that they may live, for to withhold is to perish. That's by Khalil Gibran. And then he goes on to say, the great and fierce mystic William Blake said there is no greater act than putting another before you. This speaks to a selfless giving that seems to be at the base of meaningful love. Yet having struggled for a lifetime with needing the needs of others define me, I've come to understand that without the healthiest form of self-love, without honoring the essence of life that this thing called self carries, the way a pod carries a seed, putting another before you can result in damaging self-sacrifice and endless codependence. I have in many ways, over many years, suppressed my own needs and insights in an effort not to disappoint others, even when no one asked me to. That's me, by the way. This is not unique to me. Somehow, in the course of learning to be good, we have all been asked to wrestle with a false dilemma: being kind to ourselves or being kind to others. In truth, though, being kind to ourselves is a prerequisite to being kind to others. Honoring ourselves is, in fact, the only lasting way to release a truly selfless kindness to others. It is, I believe, as Confucius, the grandson of Confucius, says, that just as water unobstructed will flow downhill, we, given the chance to be what we are, will extend ourselves in kindness. So the real and lasting practice for each of us is to remove that obstacle, like our beliefs, so that we can be who we are, holding nothing back. If we can work towards this kind of authenticity, then the living kindness, the waters of compassion, will naturally flow. We do not need discipline to be kind, just an open heart.
Mic drop. It really reminds me of, because I am a person who I've just been raised to believe that like sacrifice is the way of living. And one of the things I've learned is that if I've not been told something, I should not take responsibility for it, because I like to take responsibility for things that I have no control over. Or like I like any sort of falsified expectation, like I'll take responsibility
You're
for
like,
it, and
that's mine, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine.
I'll try to course correct it or make it better or easier, when in fact I know that it's hindering my experience and my loved ones who may want to be entering my life, because I'm filling my energy with that. And so I think my last piece around this is what I've learned as well through my own experience in the last few weeks of surrendering and letting go of my judgments and self-accepting myself for who I am, others for who they are and where they are, is when you do this, when you apply this practice, or you do the work, it allows you to live, you move from a level 1 conscious state to a level 4 conscious state. And when you quickly, yes, and when you do that, it just feeds in and allows you to really fully embody and see the actual fruitfulness of the concept of how you do one thing is how you do everything. Because as a society, we love tangible things, and we love to be able to either feel, see, or anticipate. And moving from that level 1 to level 4 of consciousness, by doing the work and releasing and surrendering and letting go and loving yourself first, that will allow you to get there faster.
Just like how Mark talked about it, I talked about it with one of my clients earlier this week. It's about you yourself being a body of water, a river that flows, and a bunch of boulders are in the way. And so the water has to find ways to go around those boulders.
But it doesn't stop flowing.
And it
right?
doesn't stop flowing.
You don't stop the water from flowing. That's a beautiful analogy.
So this work just helps you lift those boulders and move them out of the way, so it's easier for the river to flow. And for our viewers out there, would you post the levels of consciousness so that they can see what we mean?
Oh yes, I will put it in the comments below for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, what it will all give and receive for sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I love you.
I appreciate you.